is that you have found out from your side? So give me some examples. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. What is for tab? I specifically told you to find for tab. Okay. No, you have to be very careful when you are being given some work. Okay. No, of course I. What? I specifically told you to search for tab. That is why I told you. Yes, it is there. That is why I told you that you have to search what is going on. You have to, if you knew what is going on, you would have understood what you're writing. What is happening is you. So what is that called as? It is tab, right? That is tab. No? When you are typing and you do a tab, it leaves 4 spaces, right? That is tab, correct? So backslash t is for tab. Okay. Yes. Now, yes, that is what I was asking. Now I want to give a double quote in between. How would I give it? I also asked you to find for this one as well. If you want to find out for a double quote, yeah, a single, yes, a single double quote. How would you do that? You were told yesterday to find this out, isn't it? Of course, I have to continue. There are different things that you have to do. Okay, chalo. We'll start with today's lecture, and you can stop sharing your screen, and you'll have to follow along whatever I do. Okay, I'll be sharing you my screen, and just let me know when you can see the screen. You can see the screen. Okay, so I think this is where we left off yesterday, correct? This was the exact point where we left off. Just give me a 1 minute. See. Okay. Okay, so before we move forward, I'll be asking you a few questions and you'll have to answer them, and we'll see how much have you prepared. Okay. So the ISP, internet service provider, is giving you a speed of 15 Mbps. You have to download a file of 200 GB. How much time it will take? That is the question, right? That is the question. I'm just testing you what you can do with this data. Seconds? Are you sure? $375 is how much? That's 5 minutes, right? Something like 5 point something minutes. That is what you're telling me? Are you sure? Okay, let's find out. What did you do? Now tell me the steps that you did to find this out. Why? Is this speed? Does GB means speed in any terms? Is GB a speed unit or a data unit? It is a data unit, right? Very much comparable to distance. Very much comparable to distance, correct? So you can... No, you have given me the answer now. Nothing can be done. This is very much comparable to distance, correct? And this is very much comparable to speed. Now what is time? So what is time? You're still wrong. So now time equals, what is the distance? 200 GB upon 15 Mbps. What will be the unit of time? Seconds. So if I do this, if I just remove this PS, per seconds is what? This is per seconds, correct? If I just remove everything and in the brackets I write seconds, would it be okay? This is correct. This is just imagine that this is the fraction that we are talking about, and the seconds is this seconds, correct? Okay, fair enough. Now are the units same? Are the units same? These ones, these two. This is the fraction that we are talking about. Seconds is correct now. I don't need to touch the seconds. Seconds is right. I wanted seconds here. I wanted seconds here. Both the seconds are same. Correct? These both the seconds are same. So the seconds is something that I don't want to touch. I just want to see here. Are the units same for both of them? The unit is same for both of them. Can you cancel out the units? If I remove GB from here and if I remove MB from here, will it be okay? Why? They are numbers, or is it distance or data? So can I do in real terms, can I do time equals 15 kilometer divided by 200 meter? Can I do this? Can I cut out M and M? So how can we cut this and this if the units are not same? We cannot cut them. They are different. The units are different. Now we need to change these units to be equal. Either change GB to MB or change GB to MB to GB. Anyone would do. Now how to convert? Which one you want to convert first? MB to GB. Okay. So I'll write this down here. 200 GB. Now tell me how MB converts to GB. Multiply. Which one is bigger? GB is bigger or MB is bigger? Then would you multiply or would you divide? 1 GB equals 1024 MB. That means 1 MB equals 1 by 1024 GB. Correct? So you would divide this one. I'll just copy paste it here. This one goes here. Okay. What will be the unit now? That question I asked, you said you would be converting 15 MB to GB. That you first decide what you want to convert first. We want to convert GB to MB or MB to GB. GB to MB. Okay. I'll just write this down first. 15 MB. Okay. Now tell me what to do. 200 will stay there. No problem there. Okay. Now would you divide it by 1024 or multiply by 1024? You want to convert GB to MB, GB to MB, GB to MB. When you are not divide. We have GB here. Correct? We have GB here. We want MB. So 1 GB gets converted to this one, then 200 GB will get converted to 200 times 1024 MB. Okay. We should multiply because GB is greater. Okay, see. You want to convert 1 kilometer to meter. What would you do? Would you multiply by 1000? Why? Because kilometer is greater and meter is smaller. Correct? In the same way, here GB is greater, MB is smaller. Right? So when we are going from bigger to smaller, we have to multiply. When we are getting from smaller to bigger, then we have to divide. It is exactly same that we are going to have in our distance. Okay, speed, distance, time. The same concept applies here. There is nothing different here. Okay, there is the only difference is that you have to take care of the units. Okay, this one is as good as I am saying that you have to divide 200 kilometers by 15 meters. Not exactly correct though, but You can just think of it like that. Okay, so 2000 into 1024 MB, correct? The seconds will stay there. We will not think about seconds right now. Okay, is it, are the units still same? No, 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 no. What is something that you have to convert? That you have to decide. You tell me which one you want to convert now. We have converted right now GB to 1024 MB. Okay, this GB gets converted to 1024 MB, correct? Now still the units are not same because this one is bytes, this one is bits, correct? Now here you can do one thing. I told you yesterday that M is M, no matter it is capital or small, correct? So I can cut this M, this I can cut very much. Okay, no problem there, because you can cut, be it K, be it M, be it G, be it T, you can cut these out, no matter they are small or big. Okay, now there is bytes here and this is bits here, correct? Now you have to convert one of them to be equal. Which one want to convert? Bytes. Okay, now convert bytes to bits. Byte by it or bit by it? Again, 1 byte is equals to 8 bits. So when you are, so byte is bigger, bits is smaller. When you're going from bigger to smaller, you have to multiply. When you have to go from smaller to bigger, you have to divide. So byte will be converted to times 8 bits, correct? Now this b and this b can be cut now, very much, no problems here. Now this is your answer. You can use a calculator and do whatever you want. I am not going to worry too much about the answer, but this has to be your answer. Okay, yeah, whatever. I am not, yeah, okay, good. I am not too much worried about calculator. It is still not 16,000 if I am not wrong. How have you converted? Yeah, so you need to practice on calculator as well. Okay, I'll be asking you this tomorrow as well. Okay, prepare this. If you want, you can just take the screenshot, or I'm hoping that you have already written it down in your notebook. I'll be okay. That is your lookout. I just want your answers to be correct from next time onwards. No need for this. Done? Okay, no, you have to let me know that you have taken this screenshot, because I won't be knowing now. Okay, so now this is done. Now I want you to tell me second question for today. 5 TB equals how much MB? Okay, tell me how, what did you do? This is 5 TB now. Hmm. Hmm. Into 1024, and you are saying again 1024. Okay, that's it. This is what? This one is for G, like TB to GB, right? This one is for TB to GB. This one is for GB to MB, correct? So what would be the unit here? At the end, what would be the unit? Have you understood now what is going on? Have you understood what is going on? Good. Now it is correct. So have you understood? You have to be very sure about two things only. Small b, capital B, and this M, G, B, T and all that stuff. Okay? Correct? This is all you need to. I'll just write it down here as well. This is B to B. Okay? Okay, you can take the screenshot if you need, or you can just write down the explanation as well. Okay, good enough. Okay, now last question for today. Without, yeah, okay, you'll have to divide. Two 2048 bytes equals how much kilobytes? Why? Divide by it. Are you sure? Then you're 100% wrong. B to B is divide by 8. B to B is multiplied by 8. B to B is B to KB is, how much is 1 KB in terms of bytes? 1024. So what have you done then here? See this one and see this one. 1 bytes equals 1 bytes is equals 1 by 1024 KB. Correct? So now this bytes 1, I'll replace it here. So that's 2048 bytes equals 2048 divided by 1024. How much is it? 2 KB. Prepare this very well. Okay, it may or may not be useful in C programming, but later on in your computer science it is going to be very useful. Okay, done. I'll be asking you this again tomorrow. Just prepare for it. I'll be asking you this again tomorrow. Okay, so moving forward, we have successfully used up 25 minutes of today's lecture. Okay, anyways, moving forward, today we are going to look at what are the tokens in C. So just write down the heading in your whatever notebook you are using. Tokens in C. Tokens in C. Okay, so what does token means? Token is basically any word or a sentence that can be uniquely identified by the compiler. Okay, this may not be the definition. I'm not giving you the exact definition of it. I'm just telling you what is the meaning of tokens. It is a word or a sentence which can be uniquely identified by the compiler. Okay, so what can be a token? Any word, any sentence, or anything that can be uniquely identified by the compiler is called as tokens. There are some various kinds of tokens. Okay, I'll not be giving you every details about this because this is very theoretical, but there are a few things that you need to understand. There are literals. Okay, there are some numbers as well. Numbers, literals are sometimes, one and the same thing, sometimes, not always. There are some keywords. Okay, and there are strings, and there are comments. Okay, are you writing this down? And special characters as well. Special characters that you use. Okay, now various definitions will give you various things or various answers to this. These are sometimes called as identifiers as well. Identifiers. And numbers are sometimes also called as constants. Okay, done. Okay, so now we are going to understand which one of these is which. Okay, and one more thing we are leaving out: operators as well. Operators as well. Okay, so write these down. These are the different kinds of tokens that you can have in C programming language or any programming language for that matter, and it is very much useful for the compilers. Okay, you need to understand these because it is going to be helpful while writing the code. It is like understanding which sentences or which words can you use in English language. Okay, it is like that. Okay, so identifiers is anything that identifies a space in the memory. Okay, any word that identifies a space in the memory. So like last time I told you, we used R0, R1, R2, correct, in assembly language. So those are what? Those are identifiers. Do we exactly know which space is being allocated? No, right? Do we exactly know the space that is being allocated in the RAM? No, but we are identifying, we are giving it a name for us to identify that there is some space, that this specific space is going to be called, maybe let's say R0, R1, R2, whatever. Okay, So in general programming, what you may have age as an identifier, right? Age can take any value, let's say 10, 15, 20, whatever. Okay, so that age is what basically, that is an identifier which identifies a space in RAM. Okay, so what is basically that? It is called as a variable as well. Okay, these are also variable names. Okay, or variables in short, if you can understand. Okay, variables. So these are identifiers or variables or literals. It's one and the same thing. Usually identifiers and variables is commonly used, but officially it is called as identifiers. Okay, constants are numbers. Constants are exact numbers. Okay, like 256 is a constant. Will it change its value? No. Even if I write something dot something something, it will still be a constant because that value is not going to change. Correct? So that is what it is called as a constant. So identifiers is a space that is being allocated. Constant is the exact constant that you are seeing in front of you. Okay, it has no hidden meaning. That is constant. Okay, then there are some keywords of every programming language. Every programming language is going to have some different keywords. Now when I say identifiers and keywords, there is a possibility that you will feel that identifiers and keywords is almost a kind of same thing, right? But they are not. Now I'll tell you why. Identifier is a space in the memory. Keyword is the words defined by the compiler for its own understanding, not for us. Okay, for its own understanding. So all these things that you see in dark blue, all these are keywords. Okay, so you cannot have an identifier called as int. You cannot have an identifier called as return. There are various, all the keywords that you're going to see from here on, all those keywords are going to be the words which you can never have as the variable name. Okay, you can never ever, even if you try, it will give you an error. Let's say I want to return int. Okay, and if I say int, okay, okay, this is not something that you will understand right now, but just for understanding purpose, we'll just try to build this out. And if you build it, you will see that red mark has come up here, an expected expression before int. Why? It will always give you an error because that is a keyword that you can never use for anything else. Okay, so those are what? Those are keywords. Okay, so you have understood identifiers and keywords. Identifiers is any kind of a name that you can give to a space in memory. Okay, not any, we'll see what naming conventions are there and what are the only possible ways of naming variables. It is not something that you can give any kind of special character to names. We'll see that later on. Right now just understand identifiers is a name allotted to a space in memory. Keywords are the words defined by this compiler for its own understanding, and those keywords can never be used as identifiers or variable names. Enough for now. Now let's go to strings. Strings is anything that is encapsulated into these double quotes. In double quotes, okay, anything that is encapsulated in double quotes is a string. Compiler is not looking at what is written there. Even if you write some kind of a code there, it will still consider it as one complete string and it will just print it out as it is. Okay, except for the special characters that we saw, that let's say /n or something like that. Okay, so those are only the special characters that the name itself is special characters because they are special. Even if they are anywhere else, it has its own meaning. That's why they are called as special characters. But strings, anything that is in between those double quotation marks is a string, and it will be considered as one and the same thing no matter what you write inside it. Okay, even if I write, even if I want to write here int and string, now I told you that keywords cannot be used, but if I write int, if I write return, it will not give me an error. Why? because now those are not keywords. It is a part of a string. If I just run it, you will see that end and return is still being printed. Correct? But we cannot use it outside of a string. If we can never use it outside of a string other than its own intended use. So every keyword has its some use defined by the compiler. We can use the keywords only for that purpose only. That is being defined by the compiler. We cannot use it for anything else. We cannot give names to our variables using those keywords. Okay, so that is strings for you. Anything that is encapsulated between double quotation marks is a string. Now comments is, I have told you, this one for example is a comment. Okay, there are two ways of writing a comment in C programming. There are multiple ways somewhere. You can either write it in this way. Okay, either you start it with double slashes, then that line becomes a comment. Okay, if I start writing here, it will again not be a comment. In paragraph, this one is for paragraph, this one. So slash star defines the start of the comment, and star slash defines the end of the comment. So anything you write in between, this will be a complete paragraph. Okay, now why comments are used? For organization purpose. Okay, we want to organize our code. So let's say I've written some code, and you know that if I'm, let's say, writing 200, 400, 500 lines of code, and if I come back 2 months later, I won't understand what I've written. Correct? And if there is some error, and I know what error it is, but I don't know where to find out in those 500 lines. Then these comments are going to help me, because I'll comment each and every block of code, and I'll understand, I'll write meaningful sentences there, so that I as a developer understand what I'm trying to do using that code. You can explain your logic, let's say. Your logic you're using in these ones, programming the logic, but in paragraphs you're explaining the logic, what you have done actually. So that next time onwards, if someone else even tries to, make changes to your code, he'll understand what you have done, so that he can make the change, understand the code, and make changes accordingly. Okay, so that is the only use of comments. Now why comments are different? Because they are going to be completely ignored by the compiler. Anything between these two lines, this slash star and star slash, anything in between, the compiler is going to completely ignore. It is not going to even consider it. Okay, the complete line, it can be a very long line. Okay, this complete line with double slashes, it is going to be completely ignored by the compiler. Compiler is going to just completely skip it. It will not even try to think whether it is right, whether the syntax is right, whether the logic is right, what keywords have you used, what literals have you used. It is not going to take care of anything. It will just completely ignore it. That is why they are called as comments. Special characters, we have already seen what are special characters, and a few examples you gave me: slash, backslash, hash, @, $sign, all those are and ampersand, all those are special characters. Okay, then there are operators meaning if we want to do some operations like plus, minus, right, multiply, divide, division. There are other operators as well. We'll be looking at them later on. Okay, there is a complete one lecture only for operators. So we'll be looking at the operators later on. But have you understood what are these things? Identifiers, name given to a space in memory. Constants, anything that you see, it is going to be the exact same value. That is a constant. Keywords are the words defined by the compiler, which we cannot use as identifiers. Okay, I can have returns, returns, as an identifier. Okay, I can have returns as an identifier, but I cannot have return as an identifier. Okay, because return is a keyword, and you will get to yes, it is case sensitive. This return is of no use. Look at this. This is not getting blue, right? So you can have this as an identifier. Okay. Case sensitive means capital small letters is what is called as case sensitive. Capital case, small case, or uppercase, lowercase, that is case sensitivity. Okay, uppercase, lowercase. This R is uppercase, this is lowercase. Usually all the keywords in, at least in C, are all in small letters only. Okay, all the keywords are in small letters only, so you don't need to worry about them, and that is what you have to do. This is grammar, you have to mug it up, there is no other way. Okay, there will be multiple keywords that will be looking at in the entire C and C++ course. All the keywords you have to by heart as it is. There is no way around. You cannot change them. You cannot change them, you cannot mess around with them. This return is completely different. This can be an identifier. No one is going to ask you for this. If you write this as an identifier, it will work, but this as an identifier will never work. Okay, now C and C++ programming can be directly done in Notepad as well, where you will not be having this kind of coloring. Okay, you can code C++ in a Notepad as well. The coloring won't be available, this kind of coloring that we are right now having now. This one is black, this is red, blue, pink, and what, so on and so forth. This kind of coloring will not be available in Notepad, but you can still code in Notepad as well. Okay, the only thing that you have to do is you have to name the file as something.c. something.c is going to be a C file. Okay, now why we are having this coloring in here in code blocks? Because this is an intelligent Notepad. Okay, a kind of an intelligent text editor. So in this code blocks itself, it already knows that this return is a keyword, because whoever developed this, he has made it sure that developers like us do not mess up with the keywords or do not mess up with the code. So I've made it some intelligence, they have built in some intelligence into this code editors, and that's why this automatic changes of things happens. If we look at where this file is, if I can see where this file is, it is in documents. Okay, so we'll try to open this file in Notepad itself. Documents. Okay, this is my c.c file. Okay, C source file is written here, right? I can directly open it in Notepad as well. No one is going to stop me from it. Okay, so I am opening it in Notepad. Okay, you can see you can do the coding in these terms as well. No one is going to stop you from coding in Notepad. You can code it in Notepad++ as well. You can use any kind of text editor. You can code this in your mobile as well. If there is some text editor in your mobile, you can do it there as well. The only thing is the file name should be .c. Okay, when you are saving the file, rather than saving as txt file, you have to click on all files and you have to just do .c. Okay, and save it. It will work. Okay, this is just an intelligent editor which is giving you the coloring. Okay, so name, the main is not important. Main can be any file name. Something.c. yes, because .c is the extension for C file, right? exe is extension for executable files, txt is for text files, right? docs is for document files, xls is for excel sheet files, ppt is for, or ppt or pptx is for ppt files, right? Every file, every kind of a file is going to have its own extension. Images have jpg or jpeg or png. Videos have mp4 or AVI or something like that. In audios we have mp3, we have AAC, right? These are all extensions of the file. So extension of the file for C is always .c. For C++ it is going to be .cpp. CPP stands for C++. dot C is for C, dot CPP is for C++. Okay, very easy. Okay, so now we have understood what are all these things: identifiers, a name given to a space in memory, constants, exactly what you are looking at, whatever you are writing, that is the exact value. Keywords, words defined by the compiler. Strings, anything that is in between the double quote marks. Comments, these two type of comments, this is called as multi-line comment, this is called as single line comment. What? Multi-line comment and single line comment. Okay, now you know the syntax, how to write the comments as well. Okay, then you have special characters. We have seen a few special characters, slash, star, slash and stars are operators as well. So that being different, dollar, ampersand, percentage, at the rate, exclamation marks, these are all special characters. Operators are, I have given you some examples: plus, minus, multiply, divide. Okay, these are all operators. Okay, so we have completed the tokens as well today. Okay, so we still have 15 minutes. We'll be moving forward. Have you taken the screenshot, or I'm expecting that you have written it down in your notebooks? Okay, rather than, okay, cool. So I'll just delete this out. Okay, and I'll be removing the comments as well, because it is of no use right now. This file as well, this one is also not important. Okay, so now one thing that I gave you as a homework as well was how to write my name is, let's say, Samyak, and I want this exact thing to be there. Okay, correct. I want this double quotes to be there, reflected in the console. But when I try to run it, not of course this one, if I try to build and run it, it will give me an error. Right now, why? Because anything in between double quotes is a string. Correct, anything in between double quotes is a string. What is the double quote here? I mean, what is the end of this double quote? The next double quote that it sees, this one. Correct. No, it will still not work, because printf in itself is a function that requires a double bracket. Only inside that you have to write something. No, it will not work. If you put square brackets, the square bracket will be printed. If you feel something like this, no, that is what syntax is. No, you have to make sure that you are using whatever the compiler wants. Okay, so basically what you want is, you want to tell the compiler that this is a double quote, this is also a double quote, but these are double quotes, but don't treat it as double quotes. This is a double quote, this is a double quote, these two are also double quotes, but don't treat them as double quotes. Because if it doesn't treat them as double quotes, it will just print out whatever is there in the two double quotes, this one and this one. Correct. So what I want to tell the compiler, I want to tell the compiler, don't consider these two double quotes, or escape these double quotes, escape these double quotes. Have you understood what I'm trying to say? Don't consider or escape. Okay, these are synonyms, right? Same meaning. Don't consider or escape. We just give a backslash here to tell the compiler to escape it. Have you seen, as soon as I did a backslash, now it is no more black, it has converted to blue. Now if I run it and play it, it will give me this. See, look at this one. Can you see? So what is this called as? This is called as an escape sequence or escape character. Escape character or escape sequence. Now that depends on what you are doing. If you are just escaping a character, it is called as escape character. If you are escaping an entire sequence, it is called as escape sequence. Okay, but escape is the keyword that you need to remember. We are escaping. Okay, we are escaping. Once we escape, are we escaping it? No, the compiler is escaping it. The compiler is not treating it as a double quote for itself. right? It will just give that double quote directly to the console, and that console is printing it. Have you understood? Okay, now let's say how creative can you think? I want to print this one. Okay, I want to print this one, exactly this one. What I'll do in this double quotes, I'll just remove this one, so there is space here. I want to print this one in. How will I do? Think creatively. Think creatively. No, tell me whatever you are thinking. Don't just think in your own mind. Tell me what you're thinking, so that I know that how far have you gone through this one. In between the double quotes. See, okay, these two quotes are going to be there. We don't need to touch it, correct? These two quotes are going to be there. I'll just remove the space so that there is no confusion. These two double quotes are going to be there, no problem here at all. Now take each character one by one from here. Okay, first we'll do this one. To print this double quote, what do we need to print? What we need to write? We need to first escape the character, correct? Correct. Okay, now that forward slash is going to be the forward slash, there is no problem at all. S is going to be the same, AMYK is going to be the same, this one is also going to be the same, but now the next character needs to be escaped yet again, correct? So backslash this one. Okay, now this should work. If I just print this out, okay, of course I need to remove this. Now if we just print it out, it is being printed, correct? This is what we wanted. Okay, now one variation of it. Let's say I don't want to print this, I want to print this one. Now what will I do? No, it is not that easy you're thinking. Okay, first character, backslash double quotes. What about the backslash? Okay, now backslash, again backslash, double quote. Is it already there? Is it what we wanted? Tell me. Should we do it again? Okay. Take each character at a time. One character at a time. Backslash. Okay. Backslash. Okay. 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 Should we try to print it? Why is it giving me an error? Why it is an error? What is wrong? Where? Here? At the starting? Here? /, this one? Like this? Here? Here? What, / or /? Like this? This one? Still giving an error. Why? What is the escape character? What do we use? What do we use for escaping? / or /? We use / for escaping, not /. Okay? Try to write this down again. Tell me what we need to do. This is what you wanted to write? This is what you want to write, right? Tell me. Take each letter one by one. Each character one by one. What are you going to do? See. This double quotes. I know that double quote, whenever I am using a double quote, I need to escape it. Otherwise, it won't work. Correct? Are you understanding this thing? Everything inside these two double quotes is going to be printed. Okay? But when I'm writing inside of it, if I want to actually print this double quote, I need to escape it. Otherwise, the compiler will take it as a string. Correct? If I want to print the double quotes, I need to first escape it. So what I'll do, I will escape the double quote. Okay? Then there is /. There is /, and then I do SAMYK /, the next /, and there is again one quote, double quote, that I need to print. Correct? That I need to print. So for printing it, I need to escape it yet again. Correct? Now tell me, what is the error still? What is something? This is still giving me error. Why? What is wrong here? What is wrong here? Why is it still not? This one? No, 8. I see. If I want, okay, I'll just write this thing down here. Okay, this double quote goes to back. This is what I need to write for the first double quote, right? Then I did this and this. Now the next double quote has to be again an escape of double quote. Correct? Have you understood this one? So for every, write this thing down, for every this one to be printed, type / double quote. Correct? If I want to print this, I have to always type / double quote. Correct? This /n. No, that /n is for carriage return or the enter. Correct? /t is for tab, that is 4 spaces. Now here we are not using any kind of a special character, we are just escaping it. I am escaping the double quote. Okay? Correct? So that it gets printed and it is not considered by the compiler. Escaping means escape from the compiler. Don't let the compiler think that it is a double quote. let it escape. So when it will be escaped na, it will be printed in the console. Okay, so just remember this thing down. This is what grammar is. Grammar में जैसा होता है ना कि सब कुछ याद करना पड़ता है, which letter comes after which word, कहाँ पे has लगाना, कहाँ पे had लगाना, कहाँ पे have लगाना. This is what grammar is. Okay, have you understood till here? If you want to print a double quote, then you have to type, you have to escape it, backslash double quote. Okay, now what is happening is I have told you that backslash is a escaping method, yeah, escaping character, correct? Backslash, whenever you have something backslash before any letter or any number, it is going to escape it. But we also know there are a few special escapes, like these ones, correct? There are many, we'll be looking at them later on. Okay, when you look at the special characters, in the special characters lecture, we'll be looking at what are the different characters or special escapes that you can have. Okay, but there are a few specific special characters that are being defined by the compiler which will not be escaped. But other than these, the defined ones, so let's say backslash and backslash t, anything else is going to be escaped. The next is going to be escaped. So when we do slash this one, look at this. Okay, look at the what do we say? Okay, if I just print this out, you will see that it is giving me an error. Why? Let's give some space. Okay, we will not consider anything beyond this. It should work. Why it will not work? I will figure out why it will not work. We will figure out why it will not work. Okay, wait. So first, look at a few things. First of all, I escaped the quotation. I escaped the quotation. We'll look at what happens to this one later on. Okay, because if you have understood till now, this is going to give me some problems. I escaped the double quote. Then there is backslash. Then there is s and amyk. Nothing, no problem till here. Correct? I'll just give some spaces around here as well. Okay, not here, but up till now, up till here, everything is going perfect. Now here comes the problem. I am escaping the escape of backslash of double quotes, right? So something is wrong here. Something is wrong here. Something is wrong here. Wait. No, double quotes again. It is not going to work. If I do here, it will print two double quotes. If I just run this out, you will see there are two double quotes being printed, because this double quote also got escaped and this double quote also got escaped. So both the double quotes are being printed, right? So this is of no use. This is of no use at all. Correct? So I need, if I do this up till here, okay, so this is correct now. Up till here, this one is correct. Okay, we'll keep it here. Up till this one also will print the double quote, but there is no backslash right now. Look at this one. The double, yes, this double quote is coming out. Why double? Why double? No. Yes, in the same method that we printed this double quote, we need to escape the escape so that it gets printed. Escape the escape so that it gets printed. Correct? See, now the backslash is coming out. Here as well, I'll need to do what? This is just for printing double quotes. But if I want it here, what I'll have to do? I'll have to do one more escape of escape. Correct? Now if I just run it out, you'll see that it is being printed the way we wanted it to print. Correct? This is exactly same except for the spaces that you have given, but that we can figure out. Okay, now I'll remove everything. Okay, this is what we wanted to write. We needed double quotes, we need we needed backslash, and in between we needed whatever we want to write. Okay, now each and every word, each and every character will be looking at one by one. Okay, so to print double quotes we have to escape the double quote. Correct? Are you looking at it? To print double quote we have to escape the double quote. To print the backslash we have to escape the backslash. Correct? Then the name can be printed as it is without any error. Now once that is done, for the next backslash to print we have to escape the backslash, and to print the again the quote, double quote, we have to escape the quote. Correct? Have you understood this? Now if I build it, you will see that there are no errors at all, and if you print it you will see the exact thing that we wanted to print. Okay, see, you can see now. Have you understood what is going on? Have you written this thing down? No, it is not for you to take the screenshot. You have to remember a few things. First, to print the double quote you have to escape the double quote. To print the backslash you have to escape the backslash. Everything else can be printed as it is, but the problem is with double quotes and backslash. Okay, have you understood till here? You can take the screenshot and you can just write it down. What is it going to print? This is going to print this one. Okay, take the screenshot, write it down. I don't care, you should just remember each and everything that I'm teaching you right now. Okay, have you understood till here? Okay, now we are skipping a few lectures ahead so that you have some kind of, what we can say, you get some kind of a feel of programming. So for that purpose only we are going to skip a few things for now, just for today, and we are going to take the input. Right now what we saw is, whenever I am using the printf function, everything that is written inside of double quotes is going to print on the console. Correct? We have seen this. If I want to print anything, if I take the input from here, it will get print. Whatever I write here in the double quotes will be printed on the console. We also saw how to escape the characters, so that special characters are also printed. Correct? Now we want to take the input from the user. We want to take the input from the user. Okay, we want to take the input from the user. Now we are going to take integer input only for today. What? Only an integer input. Integer input. Okay, now when we have to take an integer input, we'll have to store it somewhere. Where will we be storing it? In some RAM space. Correct? There will be some RAM space allocated to store that number, right? Do we know what RAM space is going to be allocated by the computer? No. Identifier or a variable name, right? Identifier or a variable name. So what we are going to do, we are going to say there is an integer which is defined by int. Okay, so int is the keyword to define an integer. Int is the keyword defined to define an integer only. Int for integer. We'll look at other variables or data types, as it is called. Data types. What are the different kinds of datas that you can have? You can have integers, you can have characters, you can have decimals, you can have strings, you can have booleans, you can have multiple data types. We'll be looking at data types later on. Right now we want to only have an integer. Let's call it a. Int a. And what value should it have for now? For now it should have a 0 value. Every sentence or every statement in C programming ends with a semicolon at the end. Like we end every sentence with a dot in English. Are you understanding the analogy here? In English, we end every sentence with a dot at the end. Correct? Full stop, full stop, full stop at the end. So in C programming language, every statement ends with a semicolon. This is semicolon, na? This one is colon and this one is semicolon. The same button from which you give colon, if you press it without shift, it is semicolon. If you press it with shift, it is colon. So semicolon. Every sentence or every statement, as it is called, it is not called sentence because it is not a sentence, it is a statement. Every statement in C ends with a semicolon. When we are looking at this is not a statement. This line is not a statement. Is it telling the compiler to do anything? No, we are just defining it here, right? We have just defined something, that something called as main exists, which has a data type of integer. Correct? There is some function called as main which has a data type of integer, and you can see that is the reason you can only return integers here. If you give some dots and all that stuff, it will not get printed. It will give you error again because that is not allowed. If you are using integer, you have to return integer only. Okay, now each and every of these three sentences or these three lines is a statement. That's why every statement ends with a semicolon, you can say. Okay, so this line is to take input or define space for integer data called a, right? This is what we are doing here. We have defined a space for an integer data called a, and for now it is going to have a value of 0. We will change it later on. Now we want to take the input from the user. Okay, to give the input to the user is, to give the output to the user is printf function. Correct? This printf function is to give the output to the user. Now we want to take the input from the user. The function is called as scan function. Okay, scan function. Scan function is what? So both these functions are defined where? These are defined in this file. Okay, stdio.h. This file defines the working of these two functions. Okay, just remember always, this is why we are including standard. I told you yesterday, this is for standard input output. Standard input is by using scanf and standard output is by using printf. This is for output. .h is for header files. We'll be looking at it later on. This is for input. So can you see that I am writing one line comments just beside the statement as well? We can write comments just beside the statements as well. So there is no need that the comments should always be on one line and the only next line the statement should start. We can have the statement and comment in one line itself, right? But we cannot have comment and then a statement in one line. So we cannot have this one. Let's say comment, and now here I cannot have any kind of a function. Okay, this is all going to be treated as a comment. So anything that starts with a comment is going to be this. You can have the comment at the end of statement, but you cannot have statement at the end of comment. Okay, understood till now? Okay, so this is for scanf is for taking the input. Okay, for taking the input. Now we have to cut short a few things. I'll be telling you about a few things later on, why we wrote this and that. I'll just tell you right now for what you have to do to get the input from the user. We want to take only integer input. Why only integer input? Because we have defined it here that it is going to be an integer called a with a value of 0 for now. Correct? If I want to scan that function, scan the a or scan the input from the console, what we are going to do? We are going to say %d. will percent d. I'll tell you what this percent d and all that stuff is later on, but right now just remember this one, percent d comma, percent d is for taking integer input, for taking integer input, for scanning integer input. So percent d is for scanning integer input. If you want to take character input, then there is something different. We'll look at that different thing later on. Right now just remember percent d is for taking integer input from the console or from the user. Okay, we have till here, this line, till this line we have taken the input from the user. Correct, we have taken the user from the input from the user. Have you yet stored in the a value? No. Have we stored that value in a variable? No. Now we have to tell this function that whatever you have scanned or whatever you have taken up, you have to store it in a. Correct, that is what we want to tell it. Whatever you have scanned or whatever you have taken the input, please store it in a. Store it in a means store it at the address of a. So that's ampersand sign, and sign that we use na, ampersand. So I think it should be at shift 7 on your keyboard. Okay, take the function, what, take the function or take the input in integer form and store it in the address of a. You don't want to store it in a because a is nothing na, a is just a variable name. How we can store something in a variable name? You need to store at the address or whatever space that is being defined. Space is address. So define basically, and space is, you'll have some address for it na. So you have to store it at the address of a, not in a, at the address of a. So whatever that space is, just write whatever I have taken up as the input. Now in the similar fashion I want to print it. So print it is again percent, let's say we write input is percent d. Correct, and percent d. Now this time what I want to print, I don't want to print the address of a. You store at the address of a, but whatever is the value of a, I want to print. Store the value at the address of a, but give me the value of a. This is a little bit hard to understand. You'll just have to mug it up. Store the value at the address of a, but give me the value of a. If you just print it or if you just run it, it will just wait. Right now you can see it is not moving forward. Right? It has just been stuck at the dash 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 dash, right? It is still blinking. It is going to keep on blinking. Why? Because it is waiting. What is the first statement here? Int a is already defined, right? We have defined a as 0. Okay, it is waiting for an input, that's why it is blinking. We have defined that I want to scan an integer, so unless it gets an integer, it will keep on waiting there. It is waiting for us to give the input. So let's say if I give it 10, okay, now I have to, you know, something like whenever you write somewhere you just do 10, enter, right? So enter is to, no, you can do backspace here, you can do changes here, whatever, but once you are done you will be clicking enter, correct? So as soon as I put enter, the next statement gets printed. Input is %d10. Have you understood now? This is a little bit different. Now what I want you to do is, okay, if you have understood this, small b in, no, what is small b then? It is nothing. No. The compiler needs, see what I have told you, A, B, C, D are of no use. That is only a space in the RAM. So if I give this B, is there any meaning to B? No, there is no meaning to be. I can write give me an input, okay, and I can write here %d. Let's see what happens here. Okay, it will still wait. Why? Why? Because it is only going to consider %d only. That's it. Okay, it is not going to consider anything else other than %d. Everything that is being written, it is not going to be taken up by the scanf function. Only the %d is defining that it is an integer that I want to scan. Special, yes, we will be looking at other. Right now I am just telling you now, %d is for integer only. You will not be using only integers, you will be using others as well. Sometimes you will be using decimal values, sometimes you will be using let's say characters, right, words or strings or something like that, right? So all the, sometimes you'll be using fractions, sometimes you'll be using something else. So every other kind of a data type, that is called as data type. Okay, so every other different type of data has a different % something for it, for a special character for scanning. Okay, %d is only for integer. %d is for, that is what you have to mug up. %d basically it is decimal, but yeah, %d is for integer. %d is for integer. You store the value not in A but at the address of A. Do I want to change the variable name A? No. A is just a name given to some address. There is some RAM, there is some space in the RAM which has got its own address. Now in that address I want to store the value of whatever I have scanned. So that's why I do scanf %d. Take the input as an integer. Take the input as an integer and store it at the address of A. Take the input as an integer and store it at the address of A. Understood? Again, take the input, store it at the address of A. This is what is doing. It is an integer. Print an integer with the value A. Print the integer with the value at A. Print the integer with the value at A. Okay, now what do you want to print? B. Input is B, let's say. Okay, let's do this. What you are expecting the output will be? The output will be input is B. B is equals to 1. So the output should be input is 1. Irrespective of what I give it as an input, correct? Now this will show you the logic itself. I typed 10 as the input, but the input is 1. Why? Because I am not printing. I stored the input at A, but I print B. Right? I stored the input. I took the input. Scanf is for taking the input. I took the input but stored it at A, but I am not printing A, I am printing B. So the input is B. So this is what something called as a logical error, right? So compiler does not think. Yes, I'll tell you. Yes, wait. Now this is what is called as a logical error in the code, because now what I am saying input is %d, that is B. I am printing B, input is B, but you took the input as A. So this is a logical error. For compiler, there is no error at all. Correct? Compiler cannot comprehend the error. That is a logical error that you have done from your side. अब तुम बोल रहे हो कि मैं सबवे सर्फर खेलूँगा, मैं कितनी बार मरा ये काउंट करो, बट तुमने काउंट किया नंबर ऑफ कॉइन्स. So that is a logical error. Correct? That is logical error. That code will also compile. If you do it in that way ना, कि मेरे को number of deaths दिखाओ, but उस पर तुमने print किया number of coins that you have collected, it will still compile. It will not give you any kind of error. Because for the compiler, it is a perfect statement. There is nothing wrong with this statement. कंपाइलर को लग रहा है कि हाँ भाई देख, सिंटैक्स ठीक है, इसका ग्रामर मेरे को ठीक लग रहा है, मेरे को तो कोई गलती नहीं लगी, मैंने तो एग्जीक्यूट कर लिया. That is a logical error that a developer has done. That it is writing something else and doing something else. So that is misleading for himself. है ना, वो लॉजिकल एरर हो गया. लॉजिकल एरर्स वोंट बी रिमूव्ड बाय द कंपाइलर. ठीक है, कंपाइलर इज नॉट सेइंग कि तुमने लिया क्या और प्रिंट किया क्या, उसको कोई लेन देन नहीं है. उसको स्टेटमेंट ठीक लग रहा है ना, ग्रामर ठीक है ना, ओके गुड. आई एम डेड लॉजिकली रॉन्ग है, बट ग्रामर ठीक है ना उसका. सो इट इज लाइक दैट. ओके, हैव यू अंडरस्टूड टिल नाउ? नाउ only the last code for today. Okay, I am taking two inputs, A and B. Okay, so I have A equals to 0, B equals to 0. I am taking input A as well, and I am taking input B as well. Okay, and this time I'll be storing at B. Okay, scanf %d at B, and now I want to print. I'll have one more. You'll see what I'm trying to do. C equals to 0 as well. Okay, now what I'm doing, I want to add them. I want to add both of these values and store it in C. What I'll do, the mathematical function that we saw yesterday, C equals A plus B, and always end with a semicolon. Why? Every statement ends at a semicolon in C programming. Okay, now this spacing that I'm giving now, it is just for me so that the code is clearly visible. You can write it organization, it is not a standard. You can write it in this way as well. No one is going to stop you from that. I usually like, there are different developers who prefer different things. I prefer to have a space so that I can see it clearly. Okay, there is nothing wrong here as well. You can do this one as well. Okay, no one is going to stop you from doing this. Okay, you can do this one as well. It is also correct, and what I did is also correct. So that is up to you, what you want to do. Okay, I usually like to write like this, so I'm writing like this. Okay, otherwise there is no, you cannot do here then, because then inta is not a keyword. Inta is not a keyword. It is an identifier which we have not defined. Int is the keyword, so keyword that spacing needs to be there. But other than that, these kind of operations you can have spacing as it may be there, it may not be there. It is not going to make any kind of difference. Now here I can say sum is %d, and I'm going to print C. Okay, so what is going to happen? It has defined three variables A, B, C. That is 3 RAM spaces somewhere in the RAM, A, B and C. It has called it A, B and C. First I am taking an input integer and storing it in A. Then I am taking one more integer and storing it in B. Then I am doing C equals A plus B. You cannot do A plus B equals C. Okay, this is not allowed. You cannot do this. That is not allowed. You always have to do it reverse. C equals A plus B. Okay, you always have to do this only. That other way around is not possible. Understood till here? And now I am printing C. So if I do 10 and 20, the output should be 30. Correct? So if I run it, I give it 10, enter, 20, enter, sum is 30. Correct? Understood here? Now I want to do sum of A and B is C. In this format I want to write sum of A and B is C. Okay, this is the last that we are going to do. Sum of A. What is A? An integer. Sum of A and again one more integer is B. Now here what you have to write, or here what you have to do is, after this comma you have to keep on adding those numbers of which you have done the %d in the exact same sequence. The sequence is important now, because this is also %d, this is also %d, this is also %d. It will read only in the sequence that you have written. If you don't get the sequence wrong, then it will be a logical error. Compiler will not give you any kind of error, but it will be your own logical error. Okay, so what you have to do, A comma B comma C. Okay, now let's try to run this. I do 10 first, then I do 20. So sum of 10 and 20 is 30. Have you understood till here? Have you understood? Sum of %d and %d is %d. A, B, C. That sequence that we are writing here is very important. This sequence is very important. If you get this sequence wrong, so if I say C, B and A, it will not give me any kind of error. See, when I'm building it, it is not giving me errors. Because why? It knows C can be replaced. It is correct for compiler. This is an integer, this is an integer, good enough. This is integer, this is integer, good enough. This is integer, this is integer, good enough. Correct? It will still work, but only the point is that it is a logical error, so it will not work. Correct? Have you understood what is going on? Okay, so till now we have done this. There is one homework for you today which you have to try out from your side. Have you taken the screenshot of this? And I'm expecting that you have written it down in your notebook as well, because screenshots are useless later on. When you're writing these functions, or when you're writing any kind of code, you'll have to be very sure of each and every character that you're printing, or each and every character that you're typing. Every function needs to have a opening curly braces, parentheses, then ending parentheses. These double quotations must be there. %d should be in this format only. Comma should be there. Everything should end at a semicolon. Comments may or may not be there. This comment is useless, so it may or may not be there. It is not going to make any difference. But when you're writing the code in itself, these things you have to understand. You might have heard some memes like there are hundreds of errors that the code is giving just because of one missing semicolon, and this happens. One missing semicolon can lead to many errors. Let's try to build it. Okay, so now here we have only one error right now because the code is very short. But when you are working at a very huge code base, or code base that is called as source code or code base, when you're working on that, one error can lead to multiple error. That is called as cascading of errors. वो डोमिनो इफेक्ट होता है ना, डोमिनोज खेलते हैं अपन, वो एक गिरा तो फिर सारे चिप्स गिरते जाते. That is domino effect, right? So that kind of thing happens in coding, and especially in C programming. This simple stuff is going to give you errors. One single missing semicolon will lead to hundreds of error in your code. So you have to be very sure, very mindful of writing these things down. Okay, always end a sentence or a statement with a semicolon, stuff like that. Okay, so you have to take care of this, and it will build, of course. Now it will build correctly. I am hoping you have taken this out correctly. Now there is only one last homework that I'm giving you, and we'll end it here. Okay, so you have to write a program take two integer inputs with what is it called as prompt. Okay, PROMPT, I think. Yes, prompt. Yes, I'll tell you. Multiply them, show result. Okay, so you have to do this. Okay, write a program where you have to take two integer inputs with prompt. With prompt means, now when we are if you remember, when we ran this or executed this program, no one was asking me to give me an input, right? No one was asking me to give me an input. It was just a blank, that white bar was just blinking continuously and waiting for infinity unless I give it an input, correct? You saw that happening. If I, oh, of course, why did I build it? Okay, let's just cut it out and let's just try to build it. It is just simply going to blink there forever unless I give it an input, right? Now when you have written the code, you know that you have to give it an input, but is the code asking you to give it an input, or is the code showing you that you have to give an input? You write the code and correct, you write the code and execute it and give it to me. I will think that something is wrong with your code because it is waiting there, because no one is telling me what to do, right? So that is prompt. You prompt someone, you push someone, you give you some hint what is something that next you have to do. So let's say something like give input for A. That should be the first line. Then it should take the input of A. Then it should say no, give input for B. Then only it should take input for B. Have you understood what I'm trying to say? So this blank blinker should end at give input for A. Then it should start blinking. First it should say give input for A. Then it should wait for me to give an input for A. No, there is not fixed input of A. I'll give it an input. The code will again wait for the input, but it will be printed here for A, for B, both. But it should wait. The code should tell me. Right now, is the execution telling me, is the console telling me on the black screen that it is waiting for the input A? No. Right. What it should write, what it should say, it should say give me an input, and then it should keep on blinking until I give it an input. Because if it is written there, at least I'll know that it is waiting for input. Right now I cannot understand that it is waiting for input unless I see the code. So if it tells me by itself, if the code tells me by itself that I'm waiting for input A, then I'll understand okay, it is waiting because it is waiting for the input. So give me an input for A, then it should blink. When I give the input for A and press enter, then it should say no, now give me input for B. Then it should keep on blinking. And when I give the input for B, then it should print the result. Whatever multiplication is this. Okay, multiplication of this and this is for both you have to do. So that this is your homework. Write a program where it takes two integers as inputs with prompt. Okay, the code should tell me what it is trying to do or what it is waiting for. Okay, and then you have to multiply them, and then you have to show the result. Okay, you have seen addition right now. You have seen how to take the input. Now you know this is how you take the input. The only difference what you have to do is you have to, this line will, yeah, this will change. This will change, of course. This will also change. This will, here it will be star, right? A star B, because multiplication is star, right? That much you know. X is not going to work, no? X is up. So that much you know, na? Okay, A star B. But before this one, or in between or somewhere here, this kind of a code, this part of a code, you'll have to change. This part of the code you'll have to change. So that first it says that no, give me an input for A, then scan, then give me an input for B, then scan, like this. Okay, have you understood what I'm trying to say? Don't copy the code from here. Try it as much as possible. Try to write it on your own without referring to this code. Okay, without referring to this code. And once this is done, you can try the next very simple. Once you can do this in a proper way, just once very small addition, decorate it. or decorate the output or whatever, the experience. Okay, so what is decoration of the user experience? So when I'm running this one, so this is just one line by one line, right? Correct, simply black lines. There is no decoration involved. I mean, decoration in sense it should have some kind of unique formatting, that you figure out what kind of unique format. The colors are not going to change, so don't worry about the colors. I'm not talking about colors. Okay, I'm not talking about the colors. Colors are not going to change, just a kind of decoration. Let's say when you are doing is there any code open? Okay, if I do something like this, okay, not footer. Okay, so no, rather than, so I'll just give you an example. You can take the screenshot as well. Give an input for A. Okay, give an input for B. Product of A and B is C. Okay, you have done this. Now how to decorate? Decoration means whatever, multiplication program, something like this. That is up to you what you want to do. Okay, then you write these things. Then you write you gave input for A equals whatever. Okay, that is what I'm telling you. Yes, that is what you have to figure out. No? That is why I'm giving you this as a homework, right? Something like this. That is up to you how you do, and then you can do this, right? Or maybe in between you can do something like calculating product of A and B dot dot dot. Have you understood? This is just kind of a decoration that, see, rather than this is going to look much better for a user. Correct? This is your first priority. This is your first priority. On the first priority you have to do this. But on second priority, if this works, if you can get this thing done completely, then just try to make it decorative, so that for the user it is really good to look at. Nothing will change. You cannot change the colors right now, you cannot change the font right now, you cannot change anything on the textual matter. The text will be same, just you can add a few things so that it looks good or the user experience is good. Okay, this looks nice to me because I get to know what the program is trying to do. Okay, I've given this, then it is telling me, reiterating me that okay, this is what input you have given. Then it says okay, now I am calculating what the product is, and then at the end I give you the product is this, something like this, so that it is very good to look at, rather than this blank boring things. Okay, that is what you have to try. Maybe take a screenshot of this, no problems there. You can maybe just take a screenshot of this. Okay, cool. So this is your first priority. Once this is done, try to do this, and that should be it for today. And also get that all the mathematics right. Yes, get that right. Okay, I'll be asking you that again, and this one as well. Okay, so I think that is it for today. You have to find double quotation. No, double quote we have figured out now. You have to find out a few more special characters. You have to remember that mathematics that we did for the mbps, gbps, speed, time, whatever data that can be downloaded and all that stuff. You have to do that, and later on, once that everything is complete, you have to try for this one, this code that I told you right now, this program. Okay, once that program is done, then try to decorate it on your own. Whatever you wish to do, it would be good to me. Okay, so I think that is it. So today what did we learn? Just for the end, today we first did the revision for yesterday. Okay, very quick revision or quick examples of yesterday. Then we figured out what are the tokens in C programming language. So tokens are there are different tokens. There are identifiers, keywords, constants, operators, special characters, strings, and all that stuff, right? Comments and all that stuff. So those are the tokens. Okay, we have seen what are those, each and every one, one by one we have seen all of them. Then we moved on to taking the input from the user, right? Till yesterday we we did the escape sequence first. We did the escape sequence where we tried to escape, how to escape special characters, how to escape the double quotes and the backslash. So those are the two special characters that we need to escape if we want to print them, correct? So that escape sequence that we did, and then next we tried how do we take the input from the user. Till now we are just printing the input or giving the output to the user using the printf function. Now we got used to using the scanf function for taking the input. And we also saw that before we can ever take an input, first of all, we have to define the names or the identifiers or the variable names for whatever data type that you're using. So int a equals 0 defines a space in RAM, which is an integer called a and has the value of 0. That is what we are doing. Okay, then we can have multiple integers, we can scan them, we can do some operations. This is operation, right? Operation statement. So we can do operations. We can only have C at the beginning, right? We cannot have C at the end. So a plus b equals c is not possible. C equals to a plus b is possible. Okay, and then we also saw we discussed how we can print multiple variables at once in one statement, right? And that sequence is going to matter. If the sequence is wrong, then it is a logical error, not a compiler error. Okay, it is just a logical error. So we saw all of this, and you got two very quick homeworks. Try to do it as efficiently you can, and we'll meet tomorrow. Will we be meeting tomorrow? Wait, let me see. Okay, tomorrow is Friday. Okay, we'll be meeting tomorrow, and that should be the last day of the week. Tomorrow will be the last day of the week. We're going, if you can, and please get this thing done so that we can, have more things for you to look at in the 2 days. Saturday and Sunday we won't be having any class. So on Saturday and Sunday you'll have to work on a few different things. So you can just try to mess around with the code. So tomorrow we need to do a lot more stuff than we have done today. Okay, so thank you so much for joining. Have fun.